Great battle. I can't believe that team just lost 28 games in a row.
We have to be real about where we are. Nobody wants something like this attached to them.
Zubin, the last time the Pistons won a game, Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift barely made it official.
There's nothing positive about this situation right now that we put ourselves in. The bottom line is it's my job. It's my responsibility. It weighs on us every day.
The Pistons aren't just bad. They're ultra bad, historically bad, and their run of incompetence will be studied by basketball historians for generations to come. Recently, against the Utah Jazz, the Pistons lit up the scoreboard with 148 points and still lost. That was in the midst of a record-shattering losing streak. Let's find out how we got here. Why the Detroit Pistons are so bad is coming up right after this. Hey, it's a new year, and if you're just like me, you're looking everywhere to cut expenses. Well, how about this concept? Getting money back for purchases you're already going to make. Yes, with the Upside app, you can earn cash back on things like groceries, gas, and dining out, starting today. It's a budget cheat code. All you gotta do is download the free Upside app in the App Store or Google Play and use my code 5points to get an extra 25 cents back for every gallon of your first tank of gas. First, claim an offer to whatever you're buying on Upside, then pay as usual. Follow the steps in the app and get paid. It's that simple. You can cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal, even an e-gift card if you want. Look, at first I was skeptical, but the more I used Upside, the more I got addicted to it. I love using it for gas. I fuel up, it's easy to use, and bam, I'm out of there. There's literally no catch. I use the app and get money in the bank, baby. Again, download the free Upside app from the link below and use my promo code 5points and get an extra 25 cents back for every gallon on your first tank of gas. The Detroit Pistons were once the toughest, most hard-nosed teams in basketball. Not just once, but twice. The bad boy Pistons of the late 80s weren't just NBA villains, they were juggernauts. And they famously put Michael Jordan in hell. And a decade and a half later, they returned to the throne as NBA champions when they upset the hated Lakers. Those days are gone. While the Detroit Lions have ascended to the upper echelon of the NFL, the Pistons have plummeted to the cellar of the NBA. If you woke up from a coma that started in the mid-2000s, that would be your first sign that the order we once knew in this world has strayed far into chaos. The only accomplishment these 2023 Pistons have achieved is a losing streak so prolonged that if you think about it long enough, it's kind of impressive. 28. That's how many games the Pistons lost in a row. This is hard to believe, but that losing streak tied a record set by the Philadelphia 76ers, who lost 28 games across 2 seasons in 2014/2015. But here's the difference. The Sixers were actively trying to lose. That was a team whose architect, Sam Hinkie, carefully designed a squad that was built to get railroaded like your mom after 2 martinis, signing G League players and cast-offs in hopes that they could land the top pick. A process that surely paid off with at least a trip to the NBA Finals, right? The Pistons are not trying to lose. They're in the midst of a rebuild, sure, but a rebuild that began several years ago, 3.5 to be exact. They should be trending up at this point, not hopelessly down. The first step in their march towards utter suckdom took place in the 2020 NBA Draft. With the 7th overall pick, the Pistons landed on 19-year-old point guard Killian Hayes. It's always easy to play the hindsight game, but if they were looking for a point guard with franchise-altering potential, they could have simply taken the next one off the board, Tyrese Halliburton. Halliburton believed he was going to be a Piston and wanted to be a Piston. Don't believe me? Take a listen.
I told the Cavs and the Hawks, don't pick me. Please don't pick me. I thought the Pistons might, and that's kind of where I wanted to go.
Detroit passed up one of the best, most uber-efficient young point guards in the league for Hayes, who's accumulated a VORP, NBA's version of WAR, of negative 2.5. That's lower than anyone selected in either round of the 2020 draft. Hayes is a capable defender and he provides some value, but not top 10 value. This year, he's averaging 8.3 points per game on 41% shooting, which is a career high, and just 31% from 3. Somehow, this has been the best season of his 4-year career. Lady Luck blessed the Pistons with the top pick a year later in 2021, and they found themselves a star in Cade Cunningham. But they could have had the guy picked 5 spots later, Josh Giddey. No, I'm just kidding. Cunningham was, without a shadow of a doubt, the right pick. He's averaged close to 20 points in his 3-year career, and unlike Hayes, has actually generated a positive VORP. The problem is not Cade Cunningham. It's that they haven't built the pieces around him, which goes to show you that even winning the lottery and picking the right guy doesn't guarantee shit in the NBA. You have to set them up for success. The Pistons simply don't have a capable veteran with a positive winning experience. The only members of their team with more than 5 years of NBA experience are Alec Burks, Joe Harris, and Bojan Bogdanovic, who's played in just 15 games this year and was crucial in ending the losing streak against Toronto, putting up 21 points in the nail-biting victory. Burks and Harris, too, have missed extensive time. So whatever sage wisdom they have to pass down to the young guns has rarely been done on the court. What they expected to get out of Monte Morris, well, it had to be more than what they're getting right now. The 7th-year point guard went to Detroit and has yet to hit the court, suffering from a quad strain that's going to sideline him well into 2024. The Pistons' version of acquiring talent outside of the draft has been taking on reclamation projects, former high picks who were shed from their original teams like Josh McDaniels' skin. In 2022, the Pistons took a flyer on former 2nd overall pick Marvin Bagley, the guy who was taken by the Sacramento Kings, 1 spot ahead of Luka Doncic. It was a fairly complicated deal that involved 7 players and 4 teams, but essentially, Sacramento and Detroit swapped Bagley and Trey Lyles. Bagley has yet to move the needle in the Motor City, while Lyles has become a key contributor for a playoff team in Sacramento, another sign that the world is probably going to end soon. Bagley's numbers have all steadily dipped over his 3 partial seasons in Detroit. Minutes, points per game, and rebounds all gradually decreasing until they finally wither away into nothing. It's not just Bagley. The Pistons also figured they might be able to fix James Wiseman, the former 2nd overall pick of the Golden State Warriors. Here's a quick rule of thumb. If Steve Kerr can't maximize a player's potential, your team won't either. I mean, look at Jordan Poole when there's no baddies courtside. Pistons general manager Troy Weaver didn't give a fuck. He still tried, and here are the results. Wiseman gets 14 minutes per game and averages 2.3 points and less than 1 total rebound. Whether it's their own misses or another team's, the 2023 Pistons have become a graveyard for draft mistakes. Bagley, Wiseman, and Kevin Knox, the former 9th overall pick of the New York Knicks in 2018. It's far too early to tell whether their last 2 first-round picks, Jaden Ivory and Ausar Thompson, respectively, will pan out into worthy selections. But the problem is that they might not be able to maximize their potential when the situation around them is crumbling. No useful veteran leadership to help them along, and a head coach in Monty Williams, who was the coach of the year in 2022, but appears to have been run out of Phoenix for good reason. And there's more reason to think Williams is coaching himself out of a job in Detroit. Beyond, his record, Williams appears unequipped at identifying his 5 best players and making sure they're on the court at the same time, which is a pretty fundamental part of coaching basketball. Out of the 38 5-man lineups logging a minimum of 100 minutes on the court, the Detroit Pistons' primary 5-headed attack, Hayes, Stewart, Cunningham, Duran, and Thompson, sits at the 35th spot in net rating with a discouraging minus 10.1. I think I might vomit. Detroit's 5-man lineup is the league's worst in all 3 key categories: net rating, offensive rating, and true shooting percentage. Essentially, if the 5 guys you play the most have you sitting at the bottom of the NBA in 3 major categories, don't you think it's time to shake things up? It's like a kid in a wheelchair doing stunts. The kid is already in a wheelchair. How much worse can it get, Monte? But let's talk about what all those roster swings and misses have really translated to on the court. Ranking 27th among the 30 teams in offensive efficiency, the Pistons managed to score an average of 110 points per 100 possessions. Conversely, their defensive prowess positions them at the 28th spot, conceding an average of 121 points in the same measure. While their performance in preventing and making baskets leaves much to be desired, it's actually pretty crazy that the Pistons do not hold the honor of being the league's worst team in overall scoring margin. That titles falls upon the San Antonio Spurs, who have Victor Wembanyama and should be much better. The Pistons hover within reach of the Charlotte Hornets, who stand at minus 10.5 in points per 100 possession. And I know what you're thinking, trailing the Hornets in any category means you eat Dwayne Wade levels of ass. And while that might be an astute observation, it also suggests that maybe the Pistons aren't as bad as their record indicates. Sure, they suck, but they don't suck any more than the other awful, terrible teams in the NBA. I'm looking at you, Wizards. And that in and of itself might be a small victory for a team that desperately needs one. Hang that up in the rafters. The only way out is likely through firing their general manager, Troy Weaver, who did assemble the Big Three in OKC, but it looks like he brought nothing but bricks to the Motor City. And of course, they'll have to hope for the ping pong balls to fall in their favor for a second time in 4 years, and they can draft Alex Sarr or Nikola Topic, who could be Darko Milicic all over again. Short of that, they're going to be in for one of the most prolonged, hilariously painful rebuilds the NBA has ever seen. Why are the Detroit Pistons so bad? It's because the Lions are good now. It's the only explanation. Until next time.